It's time to refresh your yard during spring backyard days at the Home Depot. Get low prices guaranteed on propane grills starting at $179, like the Next Grill 3-burner gas grill. Or get $50 off the select Weber Spirit Grill and bring big flavor to your backyard. Then set the scene with Hampton-based string lights that bring it all together. Shop spring backyard days for 7 days at the Home Depot, now through May 6th. Exclusions apply. See homedepot.com/price match for details.
Ready to soundtrack your summer? With Red Bull Summer All Day Play, you choose a playlist that fits your summer vibe the best. Are you a festival fanatic, a deep end DJ, a road dog, or a trail mixer? Just add a song to your chosen playlist and put your summer on track. Red Bull Summer All Day Play. Red Bull gives you wings. Visit redbull.com/brightsummer ahead to learn more. See you this summer.
Now at McDonald's, a McDouble is $2.50, so you can get your gym gains on, or just get lunch for only $2.50. Get more value on the under $3 menu.
Limited time only. Prices and participation may vary. Prices may be higher for delivery.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Hey everybody, Jared James Nichols here, hanging out with Jay Scott, and you are listening to The Hook Rock.
It's party time, everybody. Welcome back to the Hook Rocks, the Ultimate Rock Community Podcast. Hope you're having a great hump day. Hump day is almost over. It's the evening, so hope you had a great hump day here. October's almost over. Rocktober is almost over. Some great stuff happening on the Hook Rocks. Great stuff happening in the music world. We had some great albums released this month. We touched them all. Basically, or the ones that I've been listening to, had the Warning, Mayday EP, Bourbon House, Into the Red. We just also heard the new Georgia Thunderbolts, Can We Get a Witness? And then coming up in a couple of days, we've got the Plush debut album as well as Lucifer 4. And I'm sure there's plenty others that have been released, but those have been on my radar. And I am Jay Scott. This is the Hook Rocks, the Ultimate Rock Community Podcast, part of the Pantheon Podcast Network. Check out Pantheon Podcast at pantheonpodcast.com. Follow them on Twitter at Pantheon Pods, and look them up on Facebook at Pantheon Podcast as well. Great community of music-related podcasts. Like I've always mentioned, check out Vinny Appice and Carmen Apiece with local promoter Ron Anesti, Martin Popoff, the rock historian, Mistress Carrie, the legend. Shout out Loudcast with Tom and Zeus, which will be aborting the Kiss Cruise this week. Can't wait to hear all about that. And Baco at Cobras and Fire. Got to have him back on the show. I haven't had him on in a while, so got to have him. Got to have Rock Savages back on. Chicks Who Love Music, another great podcast. So there's a whole bunch out there. We've got some good stuff coming up with some fellow podcasters. So don't want to spoil that as well. But don't forget to follow us on Twitter at The Hook Rocks. Look us up as well on Facebook, The Hook Rocks. And follow us wherever you do podcasts, whatever platform you do use, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, wherever. Don't forget to set your app to automatic download for the Hook Rocks so you get all the latest and greatest Hook Rocks podcast episodes. We've had some fantastic stuff happening over the last few weeks. We just did a great episode on what's happening in the streaming world. Great informative episode with Christine Eagle. The subject of the podcast is not happy times. It's about the streaming services proposing the lowest royalty rates in history. How much more are they going to take, people? How much more are they going to take from these struggling artists, these new emerging bands, these musicians and these artists who are trying to make a living? And I don't want to hear, oh, they're making all this money. They're not. Those days are over. Unless you're a big dog, you're a big fish in this game, you are not making a lot of money from streams. That's why these bands constantly tour and constantly have to be on the road to sell merch. And that's why the pandemic was a huge impact for a lot of these bands. That's why it's important to wear masks. It's important to get your vaccine. It's important to do all that stuff, because if they can't tour, or if there's an outbreak and they've got to cancel a show, and canceling a show is a horrific thing for a new emerging band. It's devastating. Listen all about it. Christine Eagle brings it like she always does, with a lot of information, and we tell you kind of what's going on with streaming services, algorithms, and vaccine mandates, and venues demanding either a negative COVID test or a vaccine card. So check that out. Let us know what you think on that. We also did a great interview with Doug Pinnick from King's X this past month, detailing his solo album. We also did a few great new music spotlights with Bourbon House, who I just mentioned has a new album, Travis McCready from Bishop Gunn, Derek Day from Classless Act, and of course, Johanna and Neek from Lucifer, which was a great episode. And also, we began the month with our quarterly album rankings with Chris Cordetti. There's no one that is more enthused about new music than Chris. He's a great contributor to the show. We do these every quarter, and we will be doing it again come the new year. We'll be ranking the fourth quarter albums, October, November, December, and the albums for 2021. That's going to be a difficult episode. So check all those out. My next guest is a return visitor to the Hook Rocks. Very happy to have him on board once again. One of my favorite guests, one of my favorite interviews was, I think it was summer of 2020 or early summer, late spring. I'm trying to remember. It's so hard to gauge time just because of the pandemic. It's hard to label when something's happened or try to think about the time frame, because everything just kind of runs together. But it was a great conversation.
Lifetime.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Well, there he is. It's Mr. Donnie Vie, formerly of Enuff Z Nuff. Great singer-songwriter. Happy to have him on again. What's going on, man? How are you?
Hanging in there, doing pretty good. I'm glad to be back. Thanks for thinking of me.
Absolutely, man. I've been waiting to talk to you. I know there's a lot going on with you. You got some new music coming out. Got a lot of things going on, so I look forward to getting into it with you.
All right, let's get into it then.
So the new song...
Hopefully I won't lose the dog, walking the dog.
Yeah, hopefully. If that happens, if you got to hang up, I totally understand.
Oh, there's coyotes out here. I just got to watch for other dogs. This fucking little tiny thing thinks it's a wolf.
Yeah, you know what? A lot of small dogs have that. My dog, I've got a 110-pound Bernese, and he thinks he's a lap dog.
Well, look at John Monaco.
Yeah.
He thought he was a wolf, too. What's he, 4 foot? 5 foot? He's just kidding. I don't even know why I thought of that. Was terrible.
It's all right. Well, hey, man, you've got the new song out, Party Time, that was recently released. It's got a cool video to go along with it, a lot of fun. And I got to tell you, after coming out of this pandemic and still kind of worried about a lot of things as we progress forward, it's kind of cool to have a song that's about having a good time.
Yeah, isn't it? That's what I thought. That's why I had to wait a little bit until it loosened up, and feels like party time to me. You got the holidays coming up, and everybody likes to party.
Yeah, right. You're getting into the winter time. You got Thanksgiving. You got Halloween this weekend, and of course, you got the spiked eggnog during Christmas season.
Right.
As you create new music and this new song that's coming out, and going through what everyone else went through, it's a topic on a lot of podcasts and interviews. When you were writing a song, was that really, how did you decide that, hey, this is the route I want to go? Everybody's kind of in a bleak situation. Let's write about something happy. Was that the thought process behind it?
Well, I've had like a little, some of the idea for this song for a long time. It's just that, it's like if they don't come right away, I throw it back in the pile, you know what I mean, and get to it when the song tells me it's ready. And so I was demoing the Beautiful Things record, and this one kind of resurfaced, and but it just didn't fit on that record. It was it was something a little different, and so after that record and after what happened to it was disastrous tragedy, I went around and bought all my records back from all the different labels and stuff, and of course, the last one pulled it down off Spotify and everything like that. But so I had them all, and I thought, well, all I have is the single here because, of course, it costs a lot of money to make a whole record. And especially, I don't want to, not be as good as my last record. You know what I mean? So I figured let's go with a single for now. And then I was thinking, well, I made a video and everything. I was thinking, well, we can put that in support of something. And it's sort of in support of the Beautiful Things record still because I never got to support it, and go out and play it. And so, there's COVID and everything. And so, I figured, all right, well, now I got all my records back. I got all these videos. I got this new single and, I've got like another record's worth of new material that's just done in my home studio, which is, I'm getting better at that. And I figured, it's all about the music for me. And if I'm not going to be making big production studio records, at least at this point right now, that I can be more efficient and release more stuff. If I can just get my shit together on production, and then techniques and this and that. And I'm pretty unconventional, but like Party Time though, I originally had a version of that I was going to try to release last year, and it just was not Party Time, my friends. And so we got timing's everything with certain things, and we shot the video. The video was so great that I retracked the song, and of course I got my old partner to play bass on it. I got Roger from Jellyfish to play on it, and I got the guy Mike Dolan that mixed my other stuff to mix it. And so it sounds big league and matches up to the video now. It lives up to the video, and so figured, well, then I'm going to put all this stuff out. I want to it takes forever to keep re-releasing records and stuff because a lot of my records are out of print or cost a fortune on eBay, shit like that. And so I wanted to get it all together and put it out there, and with this new video and single, and I made it for such an affordable price, that plus the actual drive itself looks like a laminate, and if you buy that, you're getting like 6-7 records worth of stuff, and you're getting about 50 videos, and you're getting the new stuff, and you're getting also the drive itself is like a laminate, and that's just good for your meet and greets and your VIP and everything when you come to my upcoming shows.
That's awesome.
All for $100.
That's great. You get VIP every time you play. You've got you've got the access to all of your material. And how did you think of that? Like, what was behind the idea of putting it on a flash drive and selling it like you are?
I've been thinking about and trying to talk people into flash drives since Wrapped on My Middle Finger record. I wanted, I could see that that's where things were going. You know what I mean? And just I learned my lesson with Enuff Z Nuff to why be the last guys on the last train when you could be the first guys on the new train and ride more comfortably. You know what I mean? And so, the flash drive, that's technology. CDs are dead. I don't even have a CD player. You know what I mean? Most people don't. Vinyl's starting to come back, and going to reprint some things on vinyl and the pre-sales for the flash drive. Those guys, the first came, first served, got one of the old party time version on a vinyl that we were getting ready to put out on Deco, but I ended up having to buy those back too. And so they got that, autographed that, and a 15-minute Zoom call. So that sold a considerably amount better than I had expected. And so I'm going to be doing these Zoom calls for the next 2 years. You know what I mean? So, but flash drive, that's the way of the future. I would like to be, figure out and figure out what's going to be next. What are they going to use next? And be the first guy on that thing, but I'm sure I'm too irresponsible and I won't ever figure that out.
See, I'm still one of those guys. I love the physical copy. So I love CDs and I love the vinyl. And, I understand the way the trend is going. CDs, everybody's got the streaming services, everybody's got this, that, and cars are not putting CD players in newer vehicles now. So that really cramps, where CD is going to go. In fact, I bought a car last summer and I ended up buying a used car because I wanted a CD player. I asked the guy, what's the newest model on the lot with a CD player?
And how old was that?
2018.
Well, that's not bad.
Yeah.
It's cool. I mean, I remember the old days that I had to have one with a cassette in it because I could, I 4-track and stuff, and I'd like to go listen to the shit in my car. You know what I mean? So the cassette was where it's at for me. I don't see those quite yet making a comeback, but vinyl's the way to go. That's what I grew up listening to. But the days of was in vinyl, all you had was that picture of those guys on the record. You know what I mean? And if you went to a show, maybe the rest of it is up to your imagination. And guys became living legends that way. You know what I mean? Now with the overexposure that we have nowadays, there's just nothing to the imagination, and everything that anybody does that doesn't jive with what somebody else thinks is all over everything, and there's no mystery. And I just, if I can't go vinyl, when vinyl is Enuff Z Nuff stuff's coming out on vinyl from the Cleopatra records, and my stuff will eventually be re-released on any format you want to get it. You know what I mean? But for now, with a CD, it costs to manufacture, and what they cost is, you'd be having to charge like $20, for that, and this way you're able to get everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everything with the videos and everything. So, plus, with videos too.
Let's talk.
That's a big one.
Yeah. Let's talk about the new video. It's got the Batman theme, which I loved because I was a huge Batman fan growing up as a kid, with Adam West, and it was just, absolutely fantastic to see that. It was kind of a throwback, made me feel like a kid. And then you go into this video with the music, and it's got this, this whole theme to it. What was the idea? How did you create that? How did you come up with that idea?
Well, the guy that shot it and directed it and produced it was an old friend of mine. He used to own the limousine company that we used to take. And he reached out to me right around the time that I was thinking about putting a Party Time video together. And he said, "Hey, listen, I've got all the stuff now." He just shot a movie with Michael Madsen and a few different commercials, and he's shooting some other stuff. And so he offered to do that. And I went to go check out his soundstage, and he's the promotional director for a place called the Claremont Collection. It's a privately owned auto museum. It's got all these great old cars and these old future, the 60s futuristic looking cars, bubble tops and stuff. And sitting right there in the middle was the Batmobile. the old '66 Batmobile, and next to that was the Bat Cycle and the Batcopter, as a matter of fact. But we didn't use that because obviously for obvious reasons. But I was just thinking, well, I got to get the Batmobile in the video, and so just trying to think how we can. Before you know it, I was, every kid wants to be a superhero at some time. I figured, well, I'm not a superhero, but and I'm surely a Batman that no one's ever seen. So it's like if Batman was a stoner, a party animal. That's with the videos. It's hilarious.
Yeah, it's really entertaining. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, it brought me back to being a kid, and just the whole concept of it. Plus, the song is a great song. So yeah, man, it's quite refreshing to kind of see stuff like that where everybody's really serious these days, and it's nice to just have something to enjoy and laugh at and have a good time. Yeah,
I figured I stopped. I had to stop taking myself so seriously as I got older, and as I've gone through phases of drugged out, not drugged out, drunk, not drunk, all this and that. And so when I got it all together, it's a lot easier for me, and we had a lot of fun with it. Like I said, I don't really take myself serious anymore. I just let's get out there and make it funny, and it's not your typical video like a lot of bands are making these days. It's want to put some storyboard and give it some bang for the buck, and everybody that's seen it's really entertained. And it turns out the day I released it, the next day came out the trailers for the new Batman movie. So there's a happy accident there, might get some hashtag accidents.
Good timing. That's called impeccable timing.
It's impeccable. I'm going to look that up. It better mean something nice.
It means right on time. It means
I know what it means.
Well, as far as the new music goes, the last time we talked, you had just released a new single, and we were talking about the future, and we were talking about things, and you didn't really know where Enuff Z Nuff was going to land. And I know Chip is in the new video. How did that come about? There has been, a little bit of a roller coaster ride in terms of the relationship, and where is that right now? And did the video or making the video help heal some things?
I had thought it had, we just done that Cleopatra deal, right? So he had to eventually deal with me, and have communication with me. And so at that time, I felt a little more hopeful of participating a little bit more with him and Enuff Z Nuff and stuff. But, because he went out and bought the trademark and stole all that from underneath me, I was in rehabs and stuff. And I've had a pretty hard time dealing with that for all these years. And then, COVID hit and stuff. But I looked at it as all was like a sign, that this deal happened, and we're talking. And but then it occurred to me that I was the only one making the effort. You know what I mean? My bass player before the video came down with lymphoma, so he couldn't make it. And I'm, in a pinch, I'm thinking, well, the only bass player I know personally was him. And, I figured the least he could do is pop into the video because, of course I'm going to have a lot of my fans are Enuff Z Nuff fans, you know what I mean? And so I figured they'd get a kick out of it. And he played bass on the actual track too. And to that capacity, if I'm in control and the boss and everything, that working relationship was just fine. But I went and got the trademark and copyright and everything for the rest of the world that he had forgotten about. And I went to have dinner with him and asked him, propose to him that I'd, sing for the band, but do just some well-promoted shows that are sensible, where to live to the reputation or the former reputation of the band and integrity. And I thought it was a smart, because, that was my whole life. I wrote all those songs and sang those, since I was a kid. And, and I've never done any of that, like really clear headed and stuff. And so I was, throwing that at him, and he didn't want any part of that. And he basically said he's doing this for. I said, "What about the fans? What do you think they want? You think they want to hear you sing, or they want me sing?" He goes, "I'm doing this for me now." And he's an older man. He likes to get in the van or a bus with 3 different bands and go open up for talk rock shows for less than $1,000 a night or something. So that's not where my head's at. And I'm not about to do that. It's too unhealthy and demoralizing for me, to especially after I personally feel that the name has been a bit devalued in the last 5 or 6 years. That's just my personal opinion. And then to boot, we released a couple of albums under that same name. You know what I mean? It's like, that's not Enuff Z Nuff. Enuff Z Nuff is my voice and my songwriting, but we spent a lot of time together. We gave it a good shot. And, my focus is moving forward and with what I'm doing now. And it's the same thing I did there, only I'm able to paint the entire vision how I see it, and I'm happy with that. And I just thought it would have been cool that I could touch base with that stuff too, and see all my fans and friends, and something that would be easy. I could just slide in there, and he just figured that if I did any shows, it would ruin his thing, which he's probably right. But so he's off doing that. There's enough people that are starting to learn that I'm not going to be there, and whatever's happening there is happening there, and I can't do anything about it. But my own show that I'm putting together is going to be like a 3-hour show. Come out with new stuff, and then a middle break with piano and acoustic guitar, and then end with a whole Z Nuff set. My favorite Z Nuff songs, and I figure that's cool. And so the answer to your question is. It's a roller coaster ride. It's I don't know. Yeah, what would you call it? Down or going up? It seems like it's like it's in one of those loop to loop things. And I'm never going to say never. It's not by my choice that I'm not doing something to that capacity. But there's not really, if that's the way it is, and I've outgrown him, and I keep evolving, and I don't think I'm lacking anything here, and it's a lot easier. And I get to shake off some of the shit off my shoes from that whole thing. You know what I mean?
Well, you asked if is it up, is it down? I think that's kind of a loaded question, because I think there's a lot of moving parts. The number one most important thing is you being happy, and you not being stressed or, worried about things, because you've got to take care of yourself. Like you said, you were messed up for a while, and now you're, on the right path, and you're doing great things, and you've got a clear head, and you've got control of your vision and what you want to do. Maybe going back into that situation might bring back that toxic environment that existed between you guys for a long time. It might be a blessing in disguise that, hey, he doesn't want to do it. So you know what? You're going to do your thing. You are the voice of the band. You are the face of the band. And if I want to hear songs by Enuff Z Nuff, I'm going to go hear them, sung by Donnie Vie.
Well, of course, yeah, I'm the guy. That's what you want to hear, is the guy. See that? I mean, just stepping on stage alive, I would win. You know what I mean? It's nobody ever thought that I'd be here talking to you now at close to 60 years old. But yeah, it just is what it is, and I'm not letting it get to me and bother me anymore. And I'm also toying with the idea. I just talked to a booking agent today, and we're toying with the idea of putting together like an all-star cast and going out in Europe and stuff, and doing a short run of my Enuff Z Nuff, but well promoted, and like I said, all-star cast. I'm not going to tell you I have a mind, but to bring some bodies in there and put some bodies back in, and if people know about it, that I'm coming there, that's what we're going to do. I'm sure they'll all turn up. I would have preferred to done it with him, but that's the only thing left of Enuff Z Nuff is just me and him. You know what I mean? But he definitely wasn't a singer. And now it's just him, the bass player with, 3 guys nobody knows or gives a shit about. You know what I mean? And he was like factoring in what their opinions and their point of view would be about me doing shows. He's like, the guys aren't going to go for it. I'm like, gives a fuck about those guys. Nobody cares about those guys. They're not on one record. At least the real Enuff Z Nuff records, you know? And so it just is what it is. And I know I tried, and I know I did my best, gave my best attempt. And now I can, I've got closure on it. You know what I mean? I can know that I did everything that I could. And, you know, I suffer pretty bad anxiety, so I don't need that flaring up. And you know, his vision of, you know, riding around and opening up for cock rock bands, that's demoralizing and unhealthy for me. And, you know, and of course those demons will be there if I'm down in the gutter, you know what I mean? And it just is what it is. I don't feel like I have any danger of returning to any of that shit. I was just, you know, sick and tired. I was frustrated and had a lot of anxiety, and things didn't ever go like I would have preferred for things to go. But it is what it is, and now I'm doing what I always envisioned myself doing from even before I was in Enuff Z Nuff, you know?
Yeah, you know, that's what I mean. You know, obviously you'd love to be in a right situation and rejoin Enuff Z Nuff, but you know, if it's going to cause you anxiety and stress and all that stuff, right. You know, I mean,
what's Enuff Z Nuff though? You know, that's just him. I mean, to be Enuff Z Nuff is basically the same thing, only not as good of a bass player. You know, he's the rooster on the cornflake box, so you can't take that away from him. And he sure does know how to play the game. You know, which is something I never did well or had really any interest in. I just assumed that was his job. He covered that, and I took care of the creative. And you know, we meet in the middle and stuff, but apparently he wanted it all.
Well, that's what was my next question. Do you think it's more about money, you know, where if you come back in the band, he's got to split everything with you, you know, where he's paying the guys in the band probably a flat rate per show.
Probably
he's
$100 a show, probably.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to pay you now. You know what I mean? So
yeah, but what he's doing now, yeah, he'd have to pay me, but you know, I'd probably get $100 a show for what he's doing, you know, after expenses and everything. And what I was saying was, if they're well promoted, like I did one rock show in the last 7 years, and people couldn't get in because it was well promoted and people were there, and you couldn't even get in. You know, and so that I made a killing on that. And then I was booking more, and then the COVID hit, and it all just got, they had to refund money to fan stuff because the pre-sales were doing well. And it's all about the promotion. If you do the promotion and you do it right, and you do it with integrity and some value, you know, I mean, less shows for way more money and less heartache and less demoralization. You know what I mean? That's my thoughts and ideas. So I'll be doing that, and he'll be doing that for as long as that goes on. You know.
Well, I told you
that's not my fault over there. What's going on?
Well, I told you the last time, you know, that you were on is, you know, I've always thought your songwriting was fantastic, and you wrote those songs for that band. And
yeah.
You know, one of the things I've been thinking about for you is, have you ever thought of pursuing writing music for other people, or have you, and maybe people just don't know?
Well, like I said, I don't know how to play the game. I don't know how to network. I don't have any business sense, and just that part of my brain doesn't work like his does. I prefer to love him. I hate hating him, and I love loving him. So it's easier this way, but yeah, I mean, I got the machine that makes it all, so doing it over here, you know, it's just a slightly different name, but you know, it all still comes with me. You can't shake Enuff Z Nuff from what I do, but I just, you know, I have to have respect for, you know, he always wanted that job. He always wanted to be in the spotlight, and I thought he was, you know, I thought I would have been happy with that. But when you start showing your weaknesses, you know, you're not showing your strengths. You know, like I said, it's like he wants to do that. He wants to sing. He wants to write the songs, and unfortunately, he won't do it on his own merit. You know what I mean? Just go out there and be Chip Z Nuff. You know what I mean? Chip Z Nuff's band or something like I'm doing. But he's he needs that name brand to capitalize on. And I'm not here slamming him. I just tell the story. You know what I mean? If somebody doesn't like what I say, then they shouldn't have done things. You know what I mean? But I was a punching bag for a long time. I was the fall guy and the target for everything bad, as well. He was everything good, and still to this day, but I just tell it like it is. And everything I do is 100% genuine and authentic, whether I was getting fucked up or not fucked up or whatever, it was always authentic. It was always true, and the fans have always been my target. And that's what I care about is these fans and what they like and what they want to see. And you know what I mean? And I love them. They're so good to me. And so I'm going to continue to deliver, never let them down. I would be interested in writing for other artists. And, it's been brought to my attention that sometimes my voice isn't as important to the song as the song itself. But there's other things. I write a lot of catchy, hooky stuff. It's just you just can't get the exposure that I need. And just like with collaborating, I would love to collaborate with some great artists that can contribute something to what I'm doing, and not just collaborate with somebody just to be doing something with somebody. That's just not my goal or dreams. You know what I mean? I just want to make good music and affect lives like the music that I listen to affects me.
Because I think of that song, All My Favorite Things, which was released last year. I think that's one of the best songs written in the last 10 years. And, for me, being in my mid-40s, I really connected with it. And I must have played it probably 30, 40 times, like over and over again.
You're the guy.
Yeah, I'm that guy. But no, it was such a fantastic song. And I told you this last time. I was like, man, like I put it on and it just, boom. It was like it reached out from the computer screen and grabbed me. And I just couldn't stop listening to it. Yeah,
it's true and it's real. You know what I mean? And that's a song I think another artist could cover and do well with it if there's an artist that was doing well. But that was that poor song. That's another reason why I'm not with that label anymore. That poor song is if it never existed. And but it's on the Flash now. And that song meant a lot to me because I almost died in the hospital not too long ago. And when I got out, it was all about broccoli and berries and boiled chicken and stuff like that after my pancreas melted. And I got about 3 weeks. I was in the hospital for over a month. Not a bite of food, not a drink of water, nothing. I found a lifesaver on the floor. Nobody's seen it. I scooped it up with my foot. And man, that was a good lifesaver, But I got out and I couldn't hang with that. And I'm like, I'd rather go down swinging than have to give up all the things that I still have left that I enjoy in life. You know what I mean? And so that's what All My Favorite Things is about, but like I said, it's almost was non-existent. So a lot of them have been. A lot of my records, it's like they never existed, and so now they do.
Yeah, I when I heard that song, that's when I immediately thought, like, wow, this guy has gone through so much, and have him come back and release a song like this that really connects with myself, and I'm sure a lot of other people. It proved to me that you still had it, right? I mean, I think that was like the big question with all that you've been through is, can he still do it? Can he still, do it with a clear head? And you've proven, and especially also with the new song, Party Time, and the creativity with the video and how that was all laid out. I mean, yeah, it is great to see you be consistent and continue to do this over the last few years and keep building it. I mean, I think of Tom Kiefer from Cinderella, right? He left Cinderella, he started a solo career, and he's just been building it. And, he doesn't do any Cinderella shows. He just focuses on his solo stuff. And it's taken him a bit for him to get people to kind of get back and just want to see him instead of Cinderella. And I look at you kind of very similar to that, if you keep building it, I don't see any reason with the quality of your music and your songs to be, on that level as like a Tom Kiefer.
Well, thank you. I even in any state I was ever in, from the beginning till up till this day, I've always delivered as far as the songs and the records and singing them, and even shows. I've always deliver, and the only one who had to suffer for my flaws was basically me, and maybe some people around me who aren't satisfied with what they are trying to get from me. You know what I mean? But Tom Kiefer, what a great talent. I always thought he was. There's one difference between he and I, though, is I still sound like me. You know what I mean? Like all my old stuff, I still got the same voice. It's slightly a little rustier, but I still smoke cigarettes. But the thing that he did, I was a big Cinderella fan. I wouldn't, if I heard that with nobody telling me what it is, I wouldn't hear that. I wouldn't think in a million years that that's him. And so that's but he's a great talent, and I have so much respect for him. He's a hard worker. That's the key. I'm pretty irresponsible still when it comes to business and things, but if I'm put in the position where here's what you're supposed to do, go do it. I can I come through and do my job, especially now, even better. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's where my head's at. But I don't want to lose what I am and what I do. I just letting the songs tell me what they want to be and following the vision, and I still sound like me.
What is it like to have someone like Howard Stern continue to be in your corner and continue to rave about your talent and tell people, who you are and not, and how talented you are? Because that's a pretty big thing. And for him to do that, not just recently, because I know he has recently done it, but he's always been in Enuff Z Nuff's corner, in your corner, and telling people of how great you are as a musician, as a songwriter.
Yeah, well, of course, that's very flattering, and of course, it's a lot of exposure there for that. His format has changed, and so he's not really able to do what he used to do with us before. And that's what Gary would always tell me. And I was like, hey, man, I was bugging them for a while. Come on, get me on there or something. Howard's been playing me. And they said, but they did throw me a bone with that Bang the Clock thing. I came through and put a chorus to it. And I made sure I took care of them and they were happy. And so I hope he continues to do that and continues to, appreciate what I do. Because Howard is an old friend. I was friends with him too, up to a point, and he's fans of the biggest and the best, rubbing elbows with Paul McCartney and stuff like that. And for him to give me the compliments and say the things he does about me is such a compliment, and is exactly why I got in this and why I aspired to do what I do. It's about I've succeeded at trying to affect other people, like the stuff I grew up listening to affected me. And it's like the fans always see, but with somebody like Howard, that's more exposure. But every fan, they've let me know all the time that some say that I've even saved their life with songs and stuff, which is, how do you put a price tag on something like that? So they're all just important to me. That just gets a little more exposure, but every fan is that has those kind of compliments is just as important to me as Howard.
Yeah, I just thought that was because he is very genuine too when he gives praise. He doesn't just throw it around just because he has to. Like when he says those things about you and how no one emulates John Lennon like you do in terms of talent, in terms of your style, and for him to say that, and still be in your corner after all you've been through. It'd be easy for a guy like Howard to just kind of move on and forget about those things, but he doesn't, and that says a lot about him too.
Yeah, well, he knows what he's talking about. He's good. He's got good taste in music, and he probably could have done something more with that thing at Clock after I was finished it with it. He had a good power pop song, you know what I mean? But I signed something, so I can't really do anything with it or release it or anything. But they play it, and it's on their website, stuff like that, and that's what I agreed to do. But Howard is, that's a huge compliment, and I'm very, very proud of myself. I'm very, very appreciative and grateful to him.
As far as touring goes, with the new music coming on, you've mentioned, your plans to do 3 hours and have a piano and an acoustic set. When does that begin for you? When is that going to start?
Well, like I said, I was talking to a booking agent today. So it's like, this is what I mean about promotion, the ample time for promotion and stuff. I mean, I just put out the video. People are getting reacquainted with what I do, at least in my solo stuff. And, so it's going to take a little, let it do its thing. And it'll take a little bit of time. And plus, a lot of things still aren't opened up yet. And, I want to make sure that everybody's safe and that I'm safe and we can all have a good time. And, meanwhile, I could do some live streams and stuff like that. But like, if I want to do some shows, start playing good shows, I want them to be good shows. And we'd probably start promoting, real soon for those, you know what I mean? So I could get to them by spring or next summer.
Yeah, that'd be great to see you on stage again. I mean, I know you did some shows in 2020 in the summer. I think you played at Fitzgerald's, which you guys have played there for years. What's that like for you?
Hold on a second. Okay. Like I said, what the dog does with the other dogs. Hey, I told you stop it. You're going to now you get to walk like he's got no feet on the ground now. I'm scared. But I want to get back there. This Fitzgerald show is like, that's the first only rock show I've done in 7 years. And, it did really, really well. And hey, quiet. And I was really happy with that. And it was encouraging. Come here. I'm so sorry about that.
No worries.
But, what other guys do interviews with a little dog?
The only other one was Glenn Hughes. And his dog was yapping for like 20 minutes.
I'm in good company then. But I did a couple other storyteller things, and they did really, really well. It's all, it's like if there's promotion and if I'm doing something that I think that, the fans, they love it and they come on out. And that's what it's all about, make a few bucks at the same time, but nothing's all opened up yet, and when it does, then until then, I'll do what I can do. And I just want to do it right.
When we last talked to you, expressed concern about, your sobriety and touring. Is it also important to surround yourself with good people when you do this?
Well, through that program that I was in, I learned to, broke it down and made my world real small, as where my world was the whole world wide open and all of the elements and everything that, because I basically wasn't so aware of this back then, but it was my I have horrible anxiety disorder, and to the point of where I literally can't speak. My eyes are bulging on my head. And the other day I actually blacked out for a second. And so I medicated a lot back then, a lot of drinking and drugs and stuff. And that sort of took a life of its own. But I learned to make my world smaller. I'm just surrounded in my immediate circle with very good people and people that love me and people that I love. And, keeping that way, keeping, my personal life is more personal. It's mine now, you know what I mean? And so, but if you get into a situation where where it's bringing me down to the point of like I used to feel like depressed and lonely and frustrated and stuff. Of course, it was do that stuff or kill myself. You know what I mean? So I chose the latter or the former, and I know that people are happy that I did that. I'm happy I did that because you never know, and that what lies down the road. And if you do something like that, there is nothing down the road, you know what I mean? And plus I almost drowned. I did drown once, and I had a afterlife experience, which was all I needed was a peek to see that it was there. And it was, and that just lets me know that this is all just, like a required course. And a lot of it is, for the most part, pretty irrelevant. You know what I mean? So it's all about being connected. And, like, it's connection. And when there's broken links in the chain, now there's, it's come here. I'm so sorry. And, that's just the way I need to keep it. And just, I'm a conduit for something greater than ourselves that has in mind and gives me the ideas and stuff. And so I have to stop fucking up the plan. You know what I mean? And do my job, do what I'm supposed to do. And it's very rewarding that way.
See, I think, like we talked about, I think your path is to put the past behind you, including Enuff Z Nuff and Chip, and do your thing, man. Your music, to me, still speaks to people, right? And that's hard to do when you've been in this business for a long time. You guys, I mean, I grew up in Chicago. I remember you guys coming up through the scene, and I've seen you guys at small clubs, Thirsty Whale, all that stuff, and to see you still make songs like you're making, especially over the last few years, I think the future is yours in terms of where you want to go and what you want to do, because your songs are still creating impact and still connecting with people.
I'm still getting lucky.
Yeah.
Just, I don't know. I can't, if I do say so myself, not aware of many great artists that up until their 25th record and that are still topping their last stuff, you know what I mean? And keep evolving. And I don't know where I'll evolve to from here, but I'm sure it will be somewhere. And like you said, collaborations or other things like that. And I'd like to get Party Time in a commercial or something. I think it would be great for that. And that's one of my goals. Also, I'm going to make a version of it called Potty Time for little kids. I think that would do something too. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of possibilities for it. And there's a lot of possibilities for the future if I'm ready. If I'm ready when opportunity meets what is it? When preparation meets opportunity, that's where you get success. But as far as I'm concerned, I was successful a long time ago as far as what my goals were to do. But I think my behavior and everything was really appropriate for that band.
Well, it was also appropriate for the times too. People forget about those moments in the late 80s and early 90s and what things were like and how things were.
It was a good time.
It was a good time. It was a very good time. And, as you come to another level,
then a good time became a bad thing.
Yeah, that's a good title for a song. When a good time becomes a bad thing. There you go.
All yours.
Oh man, you take that and run with it. You've got that. When a good time becomes a bad thing, there you go. You got it right there. You got the.
It's not really how I write. I really don't write that way, where I come up with something first, a title, or I usually am filling that in after. Sometimes the lyric, the vowels and syllables will come to me, certain parts, but I just, I'm no poet. I think I've gotten better at lyrics. I was the only one that could write lyrics, so I did all that, and I've gotten, I think I've gotten better at it. I still could be better, and maybe I will be able to just take a title or something and write a song. But that's just not the way it works for me. I can't just sit down to write. All right, we're gonna write a song today. That's just not how it works. The songs let me know when it's time. Then I got to get to work, and that is a good title.
When you think about how you create and where you're at now, what's the biggest difference? I mean, outside, you have a clearer head, but in terms of, as you've moved on in your life and you're the age that you are, what do you see differently that you are in terms of being creative?
Well, being creative, nothing. it's the same thing as it's always been. You know, I just get better, more experience and more knowledge, and I've done it more than anybody. That, you know, the more you do something, the better you get at it. But the creative is the exact same process that it's always been. That hasn't changed. And I've just, sometimes being a substance and this and that has benefited my creativity and writing and stuff. And maybe not the subject matter, you know, but a lot of people became big fans because what I was singing about was true, and it was dark, and there's a lot of that out there. And I'm just feeling around in the dark for lost souls and trying to pull them in, you know. But it originated with me, you know, trying to advise myself, you know, give myself some encouragement and advice. But you know, for a long time, it just wasn't going to happen. But the creative is exactly the same as it's always been, except now I can. Now I have the phone recorder, so I can record the ideas and I don't forget them. And I also have an easier time with the lyrics and remembering what the fuck I did and remembering the guitar part that I just worked out, and then go to record it and I forget it. So it's easier. Everything's easier. But the creative process is exactly the same.
As far as creating, are there certain situations that you find yourself getting that juice, getting that creative flow going? Is there certain moments that are better for you to, you know, open yourself up and be creative?
I'll just say they come when they come. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. You know, I could be driving, I could be mowing the lawn, I could be doing this, doing that. You know, usually it just depends, like the mode. When I have the anxiety and it's really bad, I'm worth a shit. I can't create anything. And the other emotions, though, if I'm, you know, you get I'm bipolar too, you know, bipolar manic depressant. So that's a gold mine for writing. You know what I mean? Or that and a really fucked up girlfriend. Those are great those are gold mines for writing songs. You know what I mean? And but yeah, this is more or less on an upswing of bipolar is a good time for me. And, but basically, like with Beautiful Things, what happened was I hadn't written a song or sang a note or played a guitar in like 2.5, 3 years when I went through that program and everything. And when I was cleaned up and ready to go, I had a little place out there. I was like, I have nothing. I was like looking up and looking out there. I was like, are we still going to do this? Is this going to happen again? And the next day, the Beautiful Things record, I Could Save the World, came to me, and the next day after that, breaking me down and blah blah blah, one after another. And so that's a big answer to my questions, and it's just another thing that confirms what's actually going on in the grand scheme of things, and everything's energy, and you know, it's the process is the process, and when they come to me, they come, no matter what I'm doing.
So you're saying
if it came to me right in this interview, I'd have to hang up and record that idea and call you back.
So basically what you're saying is if you can't, you know, if you're not being creative enough, you go online, do some online dating, meet someone really crazy, and boom, you got a song.
If you you need an actual girlfriend or a wife or something like that who's bringing you up and bringing you terribly down. You know what I mean? And fucking around and, you know, just demoralizing you and everything like that. And that's where, because creativity and art is expression and emotion. And, you know, depression or heartbreak or this and that is a huge emotion. You know what I mean? Jealousy, anger, being in love, you know, crazy in love. You know, it's just, it gets trickier. Because I haven't been any of those things in the last, you know, 5-6 years. And so getting lyrics and stuff like that, inspiration for that has become trickier. You know what I mean? Trying to figure out, I'm trying to be more positive and find something more universally adaptable with more appeal to more people. Get more exposure so I can affect more lives. Maybe even make a buck or so, but. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say you go Tinder and you're going to meet, you're going to write a song after Tinder, unless it's about, you know, Butterface Love or bobbing for apples in the hair pie or something like that. But no, it's usually emotion, things that affected you deeply, whether it's up or down or whatever. But now I'm curious to try to see how. I think I would be capable of sitting down to write a song if I was working with another artist, a good artist, who had an idea to begin with, and then I just do my thing to it. And that's the way I create now. It starts with an idea. So if they had an idea, it would be a challenge. It would be fun.
Has that ever, in your career, have you ever had someone like that challenged to bring stuff out, and it was a good synergy between you and another artist?
No.
I tell you, man, your music.
Simple answer right there. No.
Yeah, I think with you collaborating, as obviously your solo career and new music, but I think you write wonderful songs. You always have. And, when you think of collaborating with people, I could totally see you writing with other people and writing music and being successful at it because, I think you really understand the thing about that. I feel about you is you understand melody, you understand tone, and you understand simplicity. And you can write a good goddamn hook too.
Well, that's the key. From my influences, was a great education in all of the above. Just if you indulge yourself into the Beatles, you learn about melody, you learn about vocal inflections, vocal styles, harmonies, orchestration. They covered it all in that short amount of years. You know what I mean? I don't even know where they could have gone after that, but that was just the planets aligning and God singing through four guys. You know what I mean? But you can get a whole education from them guys. And then I started adding Motown and soul, that stuff, and got a lot of that stuff in there, and especially in my vocals. And then brought in later on came like Led Zeppelin and shit like that, and the Aerosmith and the heavier stuff, AC/DC. I incorporated that, But I just do what I do, man, and. But this is a really good education. I would advise any new artist or young artist, start off with like the Beatles, or at least something that really, really speaks to you, and that makes it easier for you to understand, or to have the desire to understand what's going on, what you're trying to do there. Don't do it to try to make money and try to be famous or any of this, because 9 times out of 10, more than that, it doesn't happen. It's not going to happen. And just don't think past tomorrow. You know what I mean? Except for, of course, booking shows or stuff. But just live in the moment and do what your heart tells you to do. And most of all, follow the song. Let the song tell you what it wants to be.
I was having a conversation with my teenage son. He's 16. He plays guitar. And when he was first starting to play, he was listening to a lot of hard rock. And I told him, with someone your age, your goal should be to listen to as much different types of music as possible. Because
but listen to good music.
Yeah,
too, though,
absolutely. And
start with that other stuff.
Yeah, I said, because if you want to sound like you, right? You listen to blues, you listen to stuff from the 60s and 70s and until now, and new music. That's how you develop your own sound. If you're just listening to a handful of acts, you're going to sound like that. That's what you're going to sound like. You're going to sound like a clone of what you're listening to. So like a week later, I go in his room and he's got my, John Lee Hooker CD. He's got my, Howlin' Wolf CD. He's got my Stones. He's got all this type of stuff. And I'm like, that's what you want to do, man. Just listen to it, and you can pull from a variety of different styles and create your own tone, create your own sound.
Yeah, like in the old days, 60s, 70s, even going into the 80s, you had radio and you had DJs and you had record execs at these labels. They started these labels for passion of music, and they're passionate about it. And it was, and there was artists, and they let the artists, a DJ would play something, that liked it, and they would turn everybody else onto it. And so then you'd have a band that's upping, that's getting successful, and there's a lot of exposure, and people are hearing that. And there's your next generation of artists or players, and that are listening to that stuff, and they're influenced by that, and then they take it to the next step and evolve it, and then and so on and so on. The next ones evolve that, but you reach a point where, as far as I'm concerned, there was really a big disconnection in where you could evolve for a big period of time. I'm not going to knock any periods of time, but it's just then it kind of became everybody doing exactly what the other guy was doing, and of course, rap came in and all that stuff, and hip hop. But a lot of times now it's like a machine, manufactured. There's a handful of people writing all the songs. There's like what's selling. Let's get more of that, more of that, more of that. These aren't. You're never going to have Led Zeppelin or Aerosmith or Beatles or the Stones or anything like that again, because those influences, unless they're looking back, they're the labels and stuff. They're not grooming and letting artists be artists and supporting them. I mean, it's all about making money, and there's so much exposure. There's so many bands out there now that you used to have the radio stations. That was it. Now you got a zillion YouTube channels and shit like that. How are you going to find? I mean, the Beatles or John Lennon wouldn't be able to be found like a needle in a haystack nowadays. With all that shit, and it's just there was a lot more. It's the same thing with everything else going in the world. Internet's replaced everything. Everybody, everybody's jobs. And when's the last time you called somewhere, needed to do something or talk to somebody, and you actually get a person?
I know.
What I mean?
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just having that conversation with someone a couple weeks ago. I was trying to contact customer service for a company, and I couldn't find the customer service number. And then they had a customer service like chat line on the computer. And I'm like, is it really customer service when you can't talk to somebody? It's like,
it's not customer service either. It's a computer picking up keywords.
Right.
And, giving this thing and that thing. And like, artists nowadays, actual visual artists, they're not drawing or anything anymore. There's apps, Photoshop and all these other illustrating apps and stuff where it's more of it's not where a guy sits down with a blank canvas and with a paintbrush or a pencil or something and creates something out of thin air. Now it's they're still creating, but it's just not the same. Things aren't as organic and special as they used to be. There's too much of it. There's too little. Just from my point of view, there's too much of it and too little real influences from the greats. And if you want to get an influence, you want to learn stuff, and you want to be well influenced, you got to look back to those days, because a lot of rock and roll is, if you can find it anywhere, it's all very similar. Occasionally you get a band that steps up like, what were those guys that sound like Led Zeppelin a little bit? Greta
Van Fleet?
Yeah, those guys. You'll find somebody that'll tap back into the old stuff, and all of a sudden they're like these great new artists. They're this original thing, but they're not. They're cloning something back then, but it didn't seem like they really. You got to take it and make it your own. More than that, there's just the evolving and helping evolve the art and the craft. You have been helping that evolve and giving the next generation something to evolve from. You know what I mean? And all the arts are suffering. Everything's suffering. The world's dying. It all is what it is. And I'm just glad to still be a part of trying to make the world a better place.
Yeah, I do think, I'm going to text you some rock bands for you to listen to, because I think there's some really good stuff out there. But you're right. It is hard to find because there's so much stuff out there. There's so many different YouTube pages. There's so many, it's so hard to find because there's no rock radio either. It's classic rock, and classic rock, they play the same 50 songs every day. That's it. And,
Exactly.
There's no new rock stations that play new music, either from legacy artists like yourself or new artists, new bands that are emerging. And it's, and you talk about pop music, you've got 30 different producers on one song. You got 12 different writers on one song. Everything is computerized. Everything's put into, a program to make it sound really clean and really artificial.
Right.
And
Copy and paste this down there. And, it's just like, you don't have to only do the verse and the chorus once. And they sound like that. There's nobody's like taking it and really ripping it. And you got like Lady Gaga and, Pink and artists like that are tremendous artists. And they are actually, something that's reinvented, things like that. But, some of those, I don't listen to a lot of music because I'm usually busy working on my own. And when I'm not, I'm trying to decompress and, watching my old comfort shows and stuff like that, which is what I like to do. I don't own any CDs at all. I don't even have any of mine. You know what I mean? But, what I'm trying to say. I'm struggling here with what I've got left of my mind. So if I wander off and babble, I'll at least have filled the time. You know what I mean? But the DJs were important. You guys were really important. There aren't any more unless it's a podcast or your own thing and stuff like that. There's all the big stations on the radio. There's no DJs. You know what I mean? Yeah. There's no DJ turning anybody on to, hey, I heard this. That's the key to a good DJ is he could hear good stuff and pick it out and he'd turn everybody on to it. You know what I mean? And they would, they would catch on. And next thing you know, you've got, but the DJs aren't doing that anymore. They're just announcing what song it is and talking shit and just playing as program director, just playing everything. And it's the same thing all the way across the board.
Well, one of the things too about radio is back in the day, they would play the B songs. They would flip the single over. I mean, one of the greatest stories of all time is Detroit Rock City by Kiss. They flipped it over and played Beth, and Beth was a bigger hit.
Well, the B-sides a lot of times are stronger. The A-side is after a band is developed or has arrived, it's about now let's target with that single. You know what I mean? And unless you got a band like Queen or Led Zeppelin or something, those guys would go test the boundaries and go past them.
But I just think that you're right. I mean, sometimes those B songs are stronger. Yeah. Stronger than the actual single.
Yeah, the labels and the DJs and stuff were supporting and pushing the artists. I mean, their careers. They were helping them have careers and develop the careers, and they believed in them and stuff. And so a lot of times, the single is their obvious hit or whatever, but the good stuff lies in between the cracks. B-sides, and they wouldn't put on a B-side if it wasn't at least up to their standards. And like Beth, there's a lot of B-sides, like Beatles B-sides were hits. I mean, there was nothing you could do about that. But a lot of the B-sides and a lot of the album cuts is what you really, when people sit down and play a record or something by a great band, the last thing they want to hear is the single, is the hit. They want to hear all the other stuff. And that's what I always focused on growing up and listening to was the other stuff besides the single. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of great shit out there on side. All my favorite things is the B-side to the old version of Party Time. It just never released the actual vinyl record until now. Of course, it's a giveaway, for first come, first serve, but those are gone.
Well, that's interesting. Well, Donnie, it's been a great conversation as always. The only thing I'm going to say is don't wait so long to come back on and talk again. I love talking to music, with you. One of these days, maybe we'll just do a show on like the Beatles.
That'd be great. I'll even grab an acoustic guitar and then I'll blast through a few. I'll set things up a little better audio, and I'll do that. I love doing stuff like that. Something that makes it should be fun. The stuff is supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
It's not all just a business. If you get some success and stuff like that, that's a bonus. But if you're an artist, you're creating your art, and having fun with it and getting fulfillment. And, so, you do that. You shoot me. You got my number now. I can add I think I have it came up as your name. I can just shoot me your thing. So I got it. I can add you as a contact, and then you can reach out to me anytime you want to do something or need something from me, and vice versa. And, we'll have fun.
Absolutely, man. I look forward to it. Well, hey, man, thanks for doing this. I appreciate it.
Man, thank you so much for thinking of me and helping me out here. I appreciate it.
Anytime, man. Anytime. Everybody,
thank you, sir.
That's Donnie Vie. I'm Jay Scott. This is The Hook Rocks. Thanks for tuning in. We'll chat soon. Take care of each other. Thanks.
What's all the fuss about? If the flowers grow, well, I feel alright. But I'm not okay. Why would I choose to fight? Same thing happens anyway. I love to stay up all night long, singing songs and drinking with my friends. That's girls, that's food, and smoking cigarettes. And if it's how it has to end, I guess that's just the way it goes. I won't let nothing clip my wings. I'd rather take my chances in the dark than lose all my favorite things. I'm a Chicago boy, but I love LA. When I lose my joy,